Hi, it's Kelsey from Junk Journal Magic, and today I want to announce that I am having a Craft Along 2026 session each month this year, and I'm put together a kit of all sorts of textiles and trims and papers, random things, ribbons. I've got some doily bits. I've got lace. I have some embroidered. It was a scarf. It very much is along the same vein of a sari with embroidery. I have all sorts of things in here, even wallpaper. So I know there's a paper clip too because I want to make a paper clip. So what I thought I would do is show you what will be in the kit. Say, why was I inspired to make this? Some people said to me, oh, I don't have that tool. I don't have that. I don't, So I thought, I have so much stuff. It's insane. And I thought, what if I put together a kit, and every time I have a Craft Along 2026 session, which hopefully will be once a month, and I'm not limiting myself to once a month, it just depends on how I feel, but what if I have all the things I use pulled from this packet? So that's my goal. My goal is to almost challenge myself. And it's not really limiting what I have. It's basically putting things in front of me to use because I forget what I have in my craft room. So if you are one of those people who would like to have all these things just so you can play along and you don't have to worry about finding it, I've priced these at $30 in my Etsy shop because of the cost of shipping. And God help me if Etsy really does have a $4.50 shipping fee it tax onto every order that's a physical item, because that means, how in the world do you sell anything you've made? But there will be 10 of these kits in there, and it'll be the kind of thing like Craft Along with Me January 2026. And you can go back and you will be able to pull out whatever I used and do the same thing if you like. You can add to it, you can tweak it, you can do whatever you want. But this is just supposed to be fun, and if I have 9 kits left next December and 9 people want them, they can go back and do all these activities again. So let's look at what's in this thing. And I noticed the way I had this packed in here that a lot of little paper bits fell out. I probably pulled stuff out and tried to add more things into this little thing here. I kind of made like a folder. It's not a folder. This is a piece of excuse me, my lips are dry. But this is a piece of wallpaper. It's kind of cream, metallic tones, and everybody gets a piece of that size. There's another envelope of stuff, and this little envelope, and some flowers ready to go. You could fussy cut them more if you like, but I mean, I always leave the little labels on each specimen in case you want to take that and somehow attach it to the image as a label. But I'm kind of anal scientific with hard and soft science. That's what I studied forever in school. So yeah, at least you can make a label. And these are little bits I've used in making collages this year. I know there are more little bits. Here they are. Here's more little pieces, just sparkly pieces, dyed pieces, stamp pieces. Here's some strips of postage stamps that I dyed with some mermaid colors. They were Jane Davenport's little bottles with the droppers. And that wasn't the color I was really expecting, but I got it. So, hey, we'll see what we do with that. And there's some more strips of different things that make it easy to just grab, tear, and make a collage. I didn't want people to have to fuss around with stuff. If you're paying $30 for all of this, you shouldn't have to fuss too much. So here's a piece of a napkin. I cut these down because there's just so much napkin. It's like I start using one and years later I'm still looking at that same giant piece of napkin. So here's one piece. I love it because it's almost like daffodils, but they're not. Here, oh, not daffodils. Those are, why can't I think of the word? I'll think of it in a minute. There's bees, lots of bees, maybe a sunflower, And these are my favorite flower, and psh, it's gone. It looks like there's some little like Snapdragon-esque type things in there. But this can be, you can peel the layers off and decoupage with that. Here's just a little piece of music paper. Here's some of that. What is this? It's not serrated. It's got this texture. It's cardboard. I kept the piece that had the funky glue. I don't care. It's not going to bother me. I'm going to be ripping and tearing this and having a heck of a good time. So here's a piece of, I want to say this was mixed media or watercolor paper. And I was doing something, making something, and I had so much of this left. I mean, I even sent some to Possum Patty and Happy Mail. So this is a piece that we can play with at one point, the time of year when that color is nice. I believe this is German. It's a very thin piece of paper. That's one tiny little book page. Fun for doing lots of things. And here is a piece of vintage children's dictionary. That's going to drive me nuts that I can't think of that the name of that flower. I kept this piece only because there was so little writing on it, and the other kits have all the writing because the writing's the good part for texture. It's just really nice. Everybody gets a bird. This was from a German copy of Birds of Europe, which is very similar to the Birds of North America. So there's a bird on each side, and we could fussy cut that. Here's a piece of paper, a page from Pooh, a Winnie the Pooh book. And I tried to get little critters and things. I kept this one. It wasn't as ornate as some of the pages I put in the other kits. This is just some more German. This is a page from a book called The First Christmas. And that could be very useful next year in November. Here's the Black Rock Christmas book. There's a page for that. All these are vintage or antique books. This is a page. I kept it for the words. We can cut them out and use them in pieces that we make. This one has an image on the back. I don't care about that. And then I had all these things I had dyed with a rose quartz Rit dye. And this one's kind of mangled. I kept the mangled piece because I don't care. And I didn't want anyone to feel like they got a crummy piece of doily. But this can be used. It can be dyed another color. You use vintage photo and smoosh it. So that's that. And everyone gets let me put these in here. Paper clips so we can make a raggedy ribbon paper clip. I have a tutorial for that. It's one of my very first shorts if you don't want to worry about having all this and you want to go make one. I also have a lot of things in here. There was stuff like Tim Holtz stuff. I just had so much of all those little cutout pieces and paper dolls. It was ungodly. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to divvy them up and try to get rid of some of it. So here's a butterfly, of course, Tim Holtz. Here's a little boy. I took the dog. I tried to give you people. Whoever wants the kits, you get people. And I tried to keep them small, but I think there is a large one in each package. I can't remember. I also made some pieces. Let me show you. Like this in November. I made a kit for a contest for Michelle Summer, and I did this, but what I tried to do was give you the different pieces so we could make something like this. It doesn't have to be identical, but I took the tiny little children's illustrations, I tore them out of quite a few pages. Everyone got an animal, and the only thing left was the cabin, and I'm like, I can do something with the cabin. I don't have a problem with the cabin. So I kept the cabin, and I guess this is kind of the kit with all the stuff that I wouldn't want to receive. So, okay, I'm just saying that, but I don't mind. I can make it work. I put in here lots of different things like postage stamps. Here's some more Tim Holtz. Everyone should recognize that. This one, mushrooms. Flowers. Let's see. Kind of spread it out. But there's tons of this stuff. I just found a whole nother package of these that I don't think even one piece is missing. And I'm like, no. So, yeah, I like it. I just don't ever use it that much. Maybe I need to do something next with that. I don't know. But I also had, this was a Tim Holtz set of cards, different playing cards. And I just threw one in here so we could alter it. Here is a National Geographic Culture deck, which is a playing card deck, but it's got different places around the world. This one was a game. I think it was Go Fish with different types of fish. It's fun. And this was just a deck with blueberries on the back. So there's those cards. Then I had tore up, let me see, I think I only put 3 little, oh no, more buttons. More buttons. These are the buttons I make. And I had so many, I'm like, well, I'll just throw some of those in there. And there's a ticket. I thought I had more tickets, but there are a few whale-tail punches. There's another button. And this little thing, I'm pretty sure, is Tim Holtz. And I went through all the pictures and divvied them up. Then I found pictures from old, I want to say it was Time Life. And it was something along the lines of the West or whatever, but it's that Western series. I must have 24 covers ready to make junk journals out of them. But these are just some pieces. I love this where people are fishing. That's the best one. And I thought no one's going to like that. So I made sure to take one of those. And then there were children, like whole families where you could just tear out the different children. Or there's a photo in the front of an old school out on the Great Plains. And it looks real rough, but all the children are there. So I kept tearing out strips with a few children. So that's in each of the kits. My phone stopped recording. Didn't find out until the very end, so here I am again. I'm going to go through the textiles now. There are ribbons and fibers and, lace, embroidered pieces. Oh, let's just get into this. There's a bunch of these fibers. I have fiber hauls from Temu where you can go see. I just grabbed quite a few. Oh, I can't seem to unbundle them without messing them all up. So much for this being a quick look. But there's fuzzy eyelash trims. There's little fuzzy knots. There's little tags. I try to get different colors. Here's some silk. It's all different colors. You know, just things like that. And everyone gets one of those. You can use them for clusters and for making paper clips and for topping off a tag. So let me just get that all back in here so there won't be any more problems with it. Then I had a scarf, which is along the same vein as a sari. It had all the beautiful embroidery and everything on it. I have another one, a sari, that is golden, more like a deep burnt gold with all this painting on it. Absolutely love it, but it's packed away, so I didn't get to it. I grabbed this instead, and it has some large flowers. It may have something kind of like a paisley. I just cut enough pieces where every woman would have something embroidered with colors like this, or maybe some burgundy or hot pink. And I thought we could do something with that. Then this is a piece from a lady's blouse. This is more like I'll call it more of like something knitted by a machine because it's thick, soft kind of cotton thread instead of the really delicate stuff to make something more like this. But I cut this into multiple pieces. There are some ratty edges on one side, but when we use it, we just use this part, and I kept the ugly one for me. I don't mind that. I also had a table runner, placemat, something maybe rectangular, and I started cutting these pieces out, and they're really nice to use here or there. And these can be cut into multiple pieces and used in different things. Here's some of this weird, it's not rick-rack, but it's along the same vein. They call it like S-Wave, I think, and you get 2 colors. I thought that would be fun. And adding trim to something or adding to a paper clip. This was a lady's blouse. I love the sheer stuff. And I buy them, and I'm like, why am I buying these? I'm never going to do anything with them. And then I just started cutting them into fabric. So now I have sheer stuff. So there's more of a pink section, and I think there's some with blue. It's really nice for, say, like sunsets or sunrises. Here is something, I want to say this was a curtain, a sheer curtain, and I just cut into pieces so we would have some gold to play with. And another blouse. I kept the weird shaped piece, but I wanted to have one full palm tree that we could do something with. This was a little girl's very long skirt, and I have the piece with kind of messed up flowers. I don't mind that. I don't care if it's messed up. I can still use it, but it's got some sequins. It's sheer and flashy, and it's that watercolor I just love. We've been to Bora Bora, and that reminds me of the water in Bora Bora. So everyone gets a piece of that. Here's just a piece of bandana, the edge, and I thought we might need some blue to go with these. Then this is a piece of orange lace. It's got a little almost gold edge to it. It's kind of orangey gold edge that's metallic. And I just cut it into a bunch of funky shaped pieces, and we can use that for stuff. Here, this is from a white curtain. It's that flat lace that's really nice and keeps your pieces from getting too bulky when you make collages. This is another edge of a piece of curtain. Then I had this thing. This was a handmade tablecloth. It was giant. And I have so much. I want to say most of the top, it's a rectangle. Most of the top is solid. And I cut off all this edge all the way around. And it was like 3 or 4 of these deep. So I've slowly been working through this, and I know I have a whole lot more. But it's very stiff from being starched. Some pieces may have a little bit of a burn mark on them from being scorched. But I don't remember seeing any when I divvied them up. This was something that was crocheted as well. And it's more like a yarn. It feels more like a wool, but it's very lightweight and thin. And I kept the edge so people wouldn't be wondering why theirs didn't have an edge. I just kept that one. This piece was from something larger. I don't remember what it was, but I cut out a bunch of these little floral bits just so we'd have a few, or at least that one. Then I have some aqua seafoam green sort of color tulle and some yellow, just because I like that for suns. I like to put this together for sunshine. And this was a little piece that had a stamp design on it. It was a baby's quilt when I found it, and I just threw the whole thing in a big bowl of coffee, and it got this kind of grungy off-white look to it. And then someone went in and hand stitched along the design where it's printed. Not everything is detailed out with that stitching, but still it's fun. You can see more of that on the back, but that's a little piece. There's some squares and some triangles, so we'll do something with that, maybe even embroider on it. This is a piece of trim. This is a little mouse collage. I do a lot of stuff with nature, and I used a piece of some embroidery, kind of like, this one's machine stitch. It's the edge of a scarf, and it's thicker like this stuff. Everything is in the way. It's thicker like that, and then I used some mesh. That came from I think a laundry bag where you put your delicates in there to wash and dry. And that thing, I cut it up. It's cool. But this fuzzy stuff is separate. And I have a roll of like yarn with they have multiple strings. I guess you call them strings in there. And one had all this eyelash stuff on it. And I'm running out of it. And I looked at this, I thought, I could use that. This was on Amazon, but I had no idea this black section down here was so thick. So I think maybe we can cut it. But there may be no need to do it. It's just a little piece right there. You don't need much. And you can make something like this. So I bought this for this project, and I've divvied it up. Maybe that's 6 or 8 inches. That should be plenty for all the things I plan on doing. And here's some gold ribbon. It's kind of fun. It's that thick stuff that's, I don't know if you really call that ribbon. It comes on a roll like a ribbon. Here's some trim with almost a lotus flower design. And since gold helps everything look more flashy, that's great. So I have a piece of green vine. Then I have this stuff you get at Halloween. You can hang it. It comes in big sheets. This is a piece of the black. Everyone gets a piece. They're all not the same shape. It just depends on how it came out when I cut it. And this was one that was much more full of holes, like threadbare. And it looks terrible right here, but I thought however it stays together, we can take pieces and put them on things. So that's starting to look really terrible, but that was the plan. And here is a piece of mesh. It's some kind of fabric like a screen. And they took all these tiny little knots. They're burgundy. Somebody took them and machine stitched them down. It was just a huge sheet of fabric, like 36 or 48 inches wide. And I bought some once to make a scarf and never did anything with it. So I'm cutting it up and using it now. Then I added some leaves because, you know, we might need them. And here's a little piece of trim that was a lot of flowers. And I left them cut together, even though I plan on cutting them apart. That when they're cut together, they're easier to move around. And then here, let me do this. This piece of ribbon is some trim I bought off Temu. And the links in the last few Temu hauls I had, because I got at least one of these and some of this S-Wave stuff. But I love the colors in this, and I thought we could use the paper clip from this part of the set and make one of my raggedy ribbon paper clips. So everyone gets a piece of this in case you want to use this. Then I have this little bag. These little bags are awesome. You can use them as little bags, or you can do like me and use them for other things. And I will be showing you what I like to do with them. But here's some little buttons. This one is not the best button because it's got that shank on it. So I kept that one just because it might not be so easy to use. But these 3 pieces will be perfect for something. And this is a little piece just in case. Maybe it's good for, say, you've got a little ballerina. This is cute and colorful for like ballerina stuff. Or it might be really nice with winter things and ice. So I just cut a little bit of that off just in case we want to use it next November. So that's it. Hopefully, if you decide you want one of these, that's exciting for me, because then that means someone is considering doing all these projects. These will be in my Etsy shop on January 2nd. And I probably will be posting this video on January 1st. So you'll have a little time and you can get in there and look for them on the 2nd on Etsy. The link for my Etsy shop is in my information on the About page for my channel, and will be in the description box below. Bye.